Can we talk for a minute about our Integrating Heart and Mind workshop?
Absolutely. I'm excited. It's coming up in the fall of 2024.
I'm so excited. We changed the format to make it more accessible to people with like work schedules and personal schedules. And so this time we're going to do it 3 hours on a Friday afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at, and 5 hours on Saturday for 2 different weeks in September.
Yeah, it's so great. Like if you're finding yourself stuck in like sticky bad patterns or having communication issues or something like that, or if you want to just like get closer and trust yourself or your partner more, this is the workshop for you.
Yeah, and individuals are welcome, couples are welcome. If you're interested in really thinking through how to serve yourself well inside of your relationships, then we've built a workshop that will support you in finding the ways that are just right for you.
To sign up, head over to our website at whydoesmypartner.com/events.
We hope you'll join us. Welcome to the Why Doesn't My Partner podcast.
I'm Jules.
I'm Vickey.
And I'm Rebecca. We're your hosts. We're also couples therapists and messy humans bumbling through our own relationships every day.
We met through our training and practice of relational life therapy. Between us, we have more than 40 years of experience holding hard relational questions with our clients. We're going to bring those questions here.
And together, we're going to take a stab at answering those questions. This podcast is not a substitute for therapy. If something you hear in this podcast stirs something deep within you about your relationship, reach out to a couples therapist in your area. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here with both of you, and I'm so excited to welcome our very first podcast listeners. Hi, everybody. I'm Jules. Julianne Taylor Shore is my full name, and I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I live in Austin, Texas. And I met these lovely ladies in Mexico, which we'll tell you about in just a second.
I'm Rebecca Wong, and I'm in New Paltz, New York. I'm also a relationship therapist, a licensed clinical social worker.
I'm Vickey Issa. And like Jules, I'm officially Victoria Issa. So if you're looking me up, that's the full name, but everyone calls me Vickey. And I am in a suburb just out of Boston, Massachusetts.
And we met in Mexico in March of 2020.
What a weird time to meet.
Oh my gosh.
So we were in Mexico doing a training because we all practice the same kind of therapy. It's called relational life therapy. And we'd never met before. That was our first time meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, and I don't totally, maybe you guys remember, somehow we kind of hung out the very first night everybody was hanging out, and then like didn't stop hanging out the entire time we were at this random Mexican resort.
So we were at this random Mexican resort with Terry Real, who was, leading this training, and he and his team had coordinated a happy hour, and our partners were there in Mexico with us. We had all left our children back home, and the six of us gravitated to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And we started talking, and then we closed down the place every night.
We looked around and everyone was gone from the dinner. And then by choice, we hung out every night after that. The six of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got along
really well.
And then we came back. My plane landed within the hour that South by was shut down.
Yeah. My plane landed the day that my kids' school was shut down as well. And I actually changed my ticket to come back a day earlier.
I remember that. You came back early.
Yeah.
And we came back and quarantine hit Boston a week later.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We were still open for another week.
Yeah, so it was a bizarre time.
A bizarre time. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know everybody who's listening to this has been through your version of this bizarre time.
Yes.
Mhm.
With us. I think it's been hard on everybody in various ways, and also magical in various ways. I think one of the things that is a silver lining for me about meeting you guys at the beginning of a global pandemic is that even though I'm in Austin, Texas, we managed to run a workshop together.
Yeah.
Because now everything's on Zoom.
And we wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for the shutdown.
Right. And so that workshop is what we were being trained to run by Terry. It's called Essential Skills Relationship Bootcamp. And we led a crew of how many? Almost 40 folks. Just about 40 folks through a 2-day online bootcamp experience.
Yeah. And we had to do it online because COVID. You don't put that many people in a room together right now.
Yeah. It was fantastic, though.
It was.
And
that was not the plan when we were in training in Mexico.
Yeah, we were all going to.
The plan was in person. We were all supposed to go our ways and do these in person.
Yeah, luckily, though.
So we changed it up.
The silver lining part is that we did have time to hang out via Zoom together and plan this thing via Zoom and then run it via Zoom. And then we didn't want to stop working together.
Yeah, we had so much fun.
We really like each other.
So here we are. And we've decided to do a podcast.
Yeah.
I think we should tell them about the name.
Yeah. So we're calling this podcast, Why Does My Partner? Or Why Doesn't My Partner? They're interchangeable. And the reason that we're doing that is because this is probably one of the most common questions that we hear in our offices.
Yes.
Yeah. It's either, why doesn't my partner do XYZ? Or why does my partner do XYZ? Or how can I get my partner to do? Or how can I get my partner to stop? Right? These are the questions.
In other words, there's something wrong with my partner and not with me.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I find when we start looking into those questions a little deeper is those kinds of questions actually lead to the gold of relational healing. And so when we were bouncing around ideas, well, if we did podcast, what would we even call it? When that question came out, I was like, oh no, that's it. It can't be like, it's kind of both. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. And so here we are. We're going to dig into these questions.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that we really want to do on this show is actually answer your questions, listener questions. So we put together a website. It's
whydoesmypartner.com and whydoesn'tmypartner.com.
They
will
lead
take
to
you
the
to
same
place.
You can go to either one. And when you're there, you can record a question for us. Or you can go to our contact page and just shoot us a little message, either way.
Yeah. So if you don't mind having your voice on the podcast, and we would love that, record a question for us. And if you're feeling a little shy, but you still want your question, we want to hear it. Don't worry about the recording. You can put it in typed form in the comments, in the contact form, and we will get your question. And we're going to put it on this podcast, and we're going to answer one question every single show.
And we're planning that to put together a season of like 20 episodes or so. And in that season, we want to get to all of your questions, or get to as many questions as we can. But we also want these episodes to be short and digestible. So they're not going to be very long. They're going to be just enough that you can listen while you're prepping dinner, or while you're getting ready for work one day, or in between whatever kind of tasks you have to do.
Can I say
get some nuggets?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to, Vicky. So I want to say a little bit about why I was thinking like, oh yeah, this is the relational gold where these questions lead. Is what we find is when we're answering this kind of question, what comes out over and over again are all the really good skills that are going to be the kinds of things that bring relationships to deeper intimacy and to greater health and to a deeper fulfillment, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I was also going to add in, in that place of deeper health and intimacy, I think what we what we find in that place is more respect and integrity in terms of how we live relationally.
And a lot of tuning and turning inward.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
A lot of the stuff I think is my husband might be me.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what's fun is when we use really good relational skill, which I think we're going to hit nuggets of over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying, Vickey, we want every time you're listening to be a time where you can walk away with something that's actually actionable for you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, what you do is you take care of each other so well, you free up the relationship to have a lot more fun.
Yes.
Because that's what a lot of this is about. Like, we want the deep connection, but you also want pleasure and pleasant and having a good time. And if we're handling each other with respect and with health, we tend to have so much more freedom for the play part.
Yeah.
And enjoying each other, which is what you're describing. Just enjoyment.
I love it. So, one of the things I kind of want our listeners to know is that relationships can be so much fun. And they're also some work. And sometimes the work is about changing perspectives of how we're looking at what's so tough. Because if I'm always looking at why does or why doesn't my partner, I might be missing another perspective.
Right. And what these questions lead to, and this is the relational gold part, is I think they lead to the point of pain and also of healing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's through the work that the play happens.
Yeah.
You don't do the play first and the work second. You do the work first and the play second. And so where we're going is to help us change that perspective and maybe have a different answer than you were expecting to some of these questions. Maybe take us in a different direction than what relational advice-y sort of stuff sometimes goes.
And that healing is so obviously important, but I'm emphasizing it because I hear so much about just the avoidance of pain, and I don't want to go there, and it hurts. And people don't realize the healing that's on the other end of it if they follow it all the way through, which is what you were just emphasizing.
Yeah, that healing is where there's more spaciousness. There's more room for play.
Yeah.
The play and the enjoyment.
So if I were to sum it up, what you could expect listening to this podcast would be 1 question an episode, 20 episodes a season, probably about a 10 to 20 minute podcast every time we drop an episode, lots of jokes, probably us talking over each other just a bit because we do that. And some surprising directions, some deep processing, and something to walk away with every time that if you want it, you take it and it will make your relationship better.
Yes.
Yes.
And we want your questions because, that's a huge part of this conversation, and what will keep the show going is your questions that you're feeding to us that we can then turn around and answer. That's a huge part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I love the way you said that, Rebecca. I think it is a conversation.
Yeah.
So in order to make it a conversation, not only will we have a conversation with each other, obviously, but also it's a conversation between us and you guys. So don't be afraid to stump us, to bring the hard stuff, to bring the silly stuff, to bring the thing you've never asked anybody, but you've always wanted to. Bring us your questions and we'll make it a conversation that can last.
Love it.
Come be part of our conversation.
Yeah, so leave your questions for us at whydoesmypartner.com. We will see you back here for our next episode.
See you soon, guys.
Bye.
That wraps up this week's episode.
Join us again next week for another Why Does My Partner?
We hope that you continue to listen wherever you get your audio and that you'll follow the show.
To go deeper, join us at our boot camp. You'll find the next date at whydoesmypartner.com.